I've helped build over 4,000 Amazon listings, including listings for some of the top brands on the marketplace and beyond. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my proven steps for creating your own $1 million listing. The fact of the matter is that Amazon is a platform that requires you operate at full maximum effort across every single element. If you are not dialed in with your marketing and your advertising and your pricing and every single one of these elements, then unfortunately, your chances at profitability diminish considerably. And let's not waste another moment. Let's get into the steps that you must take in order to create a winning Amazon listing. First things first, we need to survey the competition. So whatever it is that you're selling, you need to understand who you are competing against. Because when a customer goes onto Amazon and searches the terms that could lead to a product like yours, you need to understand all of the different options that the customers might be considering and how to position your product so that they want to click into your listing instead of all of the others out there. This means that you really need to master the click-through rate, or as goes by the shorthand CTR. The click-through rate is going to be influenced by your main image, your title, pricing, and any of the other things like coupons that you can add. Your main image must be in contrast to all of the other images that a customer is seeing and considering. Contrast is so important in helping drive consumer behavior and helping us be able to weigh one thing against another. And so if you are looking at a search results page as a customer and it's full of many items that all look identical, then you're most likely going to be choosing based on price or review count, or you could just decide to abandon ship entirely and not buy at all, which obviously isn't great for anybody, but that's what can happen when customers have too many choices and not enough clarity. It's also, well, that's a tangent that we don't need to go into. We already have enough to cover in today's video. So your main image and your title both need to very clearly emphasize what makes you unique and different to welcome customers into your listing. But that's not the only thing that we are thinking about when it comes to surveying the competition. We want to have great clarity about who we are competing against so that we can figure out what call outs we need to include in our imagery and our text so that people understand why this product is the better choice for what they are looking for. One of the biggest downsides of Amazon that I think is being in some ways remedied by Rufus, their AI shopping assistant, is that it's really difficult to determine which item is the best fit for your needs and to be able to compare products to each other. So now Amazon has been playing around with labels like people with similar buying preferences like yours tend to like this. I've even found that they are giving sizing recommendation for me when I'm shopping for clothing items. So they are definitely trying to counteract this challenge that customers face, probably recognizing that it is also impacting their ability to sell or help businesses sell as many items as possible. So you need to understand what makes you different, and you need to make that crystal clear through every single piece of your Amazon listing. And this isn't something to just leave to the creative side. You want to integrate this into your whole strategy. This is going to influence every single choice you make, from the keywords that you include to the kinds of imagery you create. And so if you are not really investing the time and effort into doing this piece, then you are going to miss out on your full potential. I cannot stress that enough. If you would like to go into many of these topics, I have deep dive videos on, including one about how to conduct competitive analysis with AI to be able to speed up that process and also get some really helpful insights that you can then integrate into your game plan when it comes to your Amazon listing creation. So we talked about the first, I got ahead of myself, which is no surprise. I believe I've gotten some comments on here that I can ramble a bit. And yes, I can, because I just have so much that I want to share with you. And sometimes I get so excited to share things that I start sharing more and more ideas instead of fully wrapping up my previous ideas. So step 1, survey the competition. We covered that, but we also pretty well covered step 2, which is master the click-through rate. But just to cover that again, you can't master the click-through rate if you don't understand where you are going to be showing up on the search results page, or SERP as it's SERP as it's referred to. Lots of acronyms. People love their acronyms in the world of e-commerce and marketing. So you want to make sure that you understand, first of all, what search results page you're going to be appearing on. So when you are figuring out what keywords you're going to use, validate that those are the right keywords for you to be targeting by searching those keywords into the search bar, seeing what comes up and seeing if those appear to be good competitors for you, in line with what a customer would be expecting to see when they search those results. These should be those really targeted, specific keywords that really clearly describe the product that you are selling. So make sure that you are doing those searches when you are optimizing for your click-through rate, because if you're just trying to think of the best main image, that is not necessarily going to lead you down the right path if that is a main image that is going to look identical to all of the other main images that are already there. Main images do have a host of different rules that you must follow to be in compliance with Amazon's terms of service. I know that different people have differing opinions on how strictly you need to stick to these rules in particular, since they can have such a profound effect on the performance of your product page. Because if you're not getting people to click in, then you could have the most beautiful listing in the world. None of that matters. So you need to have really strong click-through rate, but every single business is going to have to make the decision for themselves about how risk averse they are or are not, and whether they would like to push those boundaries of main image rules, or if they would prefer to play it safe. Even if you do prefer to play it safe, there are things that you can do even in conceptualizing your packaging to make it look different or unique, to make sure that you are grabbing the attention of potential customers. Let's look at rose hip seed oil for face. So that is the keyword that I searched. Rose hip seed oil is a really popular ingredient for skincare. It's known to have a lot of anti-aging benefits. And it's a great example when we are thinking about a lot of these steps, because it is not an item that we can really innovate with the product itself. The product is just one ingredient. If somebody wants rosehip oil, they may just truly want that oil. They may not want a blend of any other ingredients. And so if we are needing to compete on just this singular ingredient, then we are going to need to be very creative with all of the other ways that we are positioning that product and that item in order to give it the best chance of success. So when we are surveying the competition, now I searched rosehip oil for face. I could even go so far as to say cold pressed. Let's just do that because it's hyper specific. So now if I'm scrolling through here, I see, if I'm just searching, a lot of similar themes with these images. We have a lot of the bottles have rosehip berries. I think they're considered a berry in the main image. The dropper is out of the bottle. Some even have a little picture of rose. They're clearly trying to find ways to stand out and grab attention. And you know what really grabs attention more than anything else on this page? The one that's in a different colored bottle. This Radha Beauty. And I'm actually not surprised to see that they have substantially more reviews than many of the other listings out there because it grabs your attention. It is different and unique. So it's important when we are considering the creation of the Amazon listing that some of these choices are happening before you ever sit down to create the listing itself. When you are conceptualizing the product and the packaging and all of those different steps, it is worthwhile to also be integrating some of this thought process into your strategy, because if not, and you end up with a very similar looking bottle to many of the other top competitors, and you are limited with how you can actually create that main image, and we know that that main image plays such an integral part to whether or not a customer is ever even going to look at the rest of your listing, it's pretty significant. So this is just, as I mentioned, looking at the image. Now, if we were to look at the titles, many of them are quite similar. So if we look at Radha, 4 ounces, organic rosehip seed oil, 100% pure, cold pressed, great carrier oil. So that's kind of interesting. So by saying that it's a great carrier oil, they are clearly identifying a potential SEO opportunity, that this is not just an oil that customers are considering when it comes to just having a single oil that they're putting on their face, but maybe they want to use it for a massage, or maybe they're even wanting to make their own oil blends. And so this could be the base oil that they then add in the other essential oils or ingredients that they are going to be using to create their own skincare. So that's an interesting choice. Without having done the keyword research, it's difficult for me to validate that, but that's what my gut instinct is telling me. So I have opened 3 separate listings for the rosehip seed oil. We have Radha, we have Sky Organics, and we have Pura d'Or. This is what happens when I end up making a gut decision based on spur of the moment as I am putting this video together, because I have 3 examples of really not fantastic listings. Like, truly, none of them look that great, but I would say that probably Radha is the best of the 3. So none of these examples are examples that we're going to be holding up as exceptional options for what we are looking to achieve with a truly winning Amazon listing. But they give us some interesting insights. And for me, this is where I always get excited, because it signals that if you are able to figure out some of these other pieces better than even these very large businesses, or you're able to target a customer that is not currently being spoken to, then there can still be great opportunity for you, even in these very high competition categories. Obviously, with the caveat that in these categories like beauty or supplements and things like that, that it's really expensive to compete in them when it comes to ad costs, and they're just on a whole other level of challenge. So keep that in mind, but it is interesting to be reviewing and considering as we are looking at the listings. So as I would be surveying the competition with these, I would be thinking about what kind of color choices are they using? What design style are they employing? Are there certain benefits that they are neglecting, or details about where I manufacture my oil, or where I source my rosehip seed, or what kinds of commitments I have that are different than the competitors? So I'm really wanting to look at understanding who I am as a business and what's unique about my product, and then reviewing the competitors through that lens, looking for where those differences exist so that I can make sure to really emphasize them when I'm putting together the creative. When you are surveying the competition, it's also really valuable to review the reviews. There are even AI tools that you can use to make that faster and more effective. And it's really helpful if you're wanting to get a better sense very quickly about what customers love and dislike and how they use the products. And that might actually be an example, perhaps, of how this Radha company identified that it's a great carrier oil that maybe a lot of customers of competitors or in their own product were talking about this element about the oil and how this other use for it that makes it so great. And so they recognized that it was a key opportunity, not just to use it as a keyword buried somewhere in the listing, but really to put it front and center within their title. You must have customer clarity. You must understand who you are selling to, not just in a very general sense, but in a very precise way. When you are particularly selling in such a hyper competitive environment where you don't have differentiators of the product itself to rely upon, one of the key tools that you are going to have to really set yourself apart and create that $1 million listing is very precise understanding of who you are selling to. So if I were wanting to create, and I wouldn't want to just look at the top 3 listings for surveying my competition. I would invest a lot of time into that, but just for the sake of this video and not making it 1 million hours long, we're going to keep it a little bit shorter and sweeter. And so if I'm thinking about what am I going to do with this, I want to be looking at who are these brands speaking to? And what I'm seeing is a lot of very clean aesthetics, and it's all young, millennial age women in all 3 of these listings, or even younger. We're really not seeing a diversity of people that are reflected in this imagery. And so that signals to me that there could be space for a brand. And again, it's possible that there are other brands that are already doing this, but if I were just treating it as these are the only competitors that I'm going up against, I'm seeing that all of them are speaking to young women. And I know that actually rosehip oil is a really rich, luxurious, nourishing oil that is also fantastic for more mature skin, then perhaps I would really want to speak to an older audience that is going to be having a different set of interests, that is going to want to see themselves reflected in the content. So having also more mature people in the imagery that is going to reinforce, yes, this is for you. Or perhaps rosehip oil doesn't have to only be used by young women. Maybe you have a skincare line that is speaking more towards men that are interested in using skincare. Or perhaps you decide that this is an item that's one of those really multifunctional items that is great for a whole household. Like you're Radha and you're recognizing that it's a great carrier oil. And so for somebody that's really a do-it-yourselfer and loves to create all of these other household cosmetic items for everybody in their home because they're really concerned about purity of ingredients and making sure that no extra chemicals or junk are getting into their skincare products, then you want that reflected in your imagery and in your content. And so all of those choices that you might be making come down to having great clarity about who your customer is. And if you recognize as we're talking about this, it's not just talking about who the customer is. Through this thinking about the contrast with the competition, we are getting 2 important elements at once. We're achieving 2 things when we are gaining clarity about the customers. We are understanding who we are speaking to, but it is also giving us an additional point that we can use to differentiate our products from the other options out there. So one way to differentiate is by differentiating the product itself or by calling out things that the competitors aren't calling out. Another really powerful tool, I would say even more important tool for differentiation, is speaking to a specified group of people, ideally a group of people that aren't being spoken to by your competitors. This is where brand building really comes into play, where differentiation strategy is so important, but it all starts with having clarity about who you are selling to. So customer clarity is step 3. Moving into step 4, you need a dialed in keyword strategy. So you need to understand exactly what keywords you need to use in order to be able to rank well and to index properly and to help drive organic traffic. Now, we know that the world of SEO is changing a lot as AI becomes more integrated into the whole search and discovery process. But at least right now, we still need to have an eye on what keywords customers are searching and making sure that we are integrating those into the copywriting, into all of the relevant fields to make sure that we enhance the likelihood of being discovered by the right customers. Keywords can also help to position your product. So it's possible that when you are doing your keyword research, that you identify some keywords that perhaps call out a specific function of the product that you hadn't considered, or a certain segment of users, or some other element. So as we keep talking about it, this idea of carrier oils that I see in Radha, it's possible that that came from keyword research. And so when we are doing the keyword research, we're not just wanting to look for those keywords that are the highest search volume. We are wanting to look for keywords that are highly relevant, and we are wanting to look for keywords that are as low competition as possible. And ideally, we're going to find that sweet spot of keywords that have that higher search volume, but are not oversaturated with competition. And so a tool like Data Dive is a really helpful tool for being able to do some of that analysis and evaluation quite quickly. I also think that Helium 10 is great because it gives you a lot more granularity and control over searching the kinds of terms that you are needing to search in order to be able to make sure that you are really covering all of your bases when it comes to SEO. At our agency, we use both together because we want to make sure that we leave no keyword opportunity untapped. And so you need to do that keyword research, and you need to be really then analyzing that keyword research, because you could have the best keyword research in the world, but it only becomes valuable and useful once you actually evaluate it and go through. Some other things that you want to keep an eye on for is that a lot of times brand name keywords will be sneaky and will get into your keyword research, and they will look like fantastic opportunities because you'll see they have, oh wow, thousands of searches and almost no competitors. Well, there's a reason for that. And that's because it would be trademark infringement if you use their brand name. Sometimes those brand names, not only can they sneak on there, but then they look really innocuous and like you wouldn't even assume that they were a keyword. Like, I don't know if it's a company, but there's probably a company called Pure. And so Pure Oil. Okay, this is just an example. I don't think it's a real example, but let's say that there's a company called Pure Oil. There is a high likelihood that customers would be searching for pure oil, just wanting pure oil, not that brand. But because that's a trademarked term, you can't use it. So I know that we've run into that in working on magnesium supplements because there's a company called Natural Calm. And that is a very easy phrase that you would perhaps want to consider using when writing for a product that helps with feeling less stress and helps to also help release some of the tension that you might be experiencing in your muscles, among a host of other benefits. So where I was going with this is you need to bring in that competitor research that you did when you are doing your evaluation of your keyword research to make sure that you are not mistakenly leaving your competitor branded keywords in there and accidentally integrating those into your content and then finding yourself in trouble. Nobody wants to deal with that. So just don't make that mistake. You will be happy you didn't. So like I mentioned, in this stage, we use multiple tools in order to make sure that we are as comprehensive as possible. I think this would also be a great opportunity to say something about all of these steps, which is that we are talking about Amazon listing creation. However, all of this also goes into $1 million listing optimization. In other words, these are not tasks that you do once and then you're done. Keywords, for example, are going to be influenced by the seasons, by trends, by what's going on in the current events and the news, by a variety of other potential factors as well. And so if you're only running your keyword research once, it's possible that you are going to be missing out on key opportunities. Similarly, with your competitor research, who you're competing against may very well likely is going to be changing and evolving over time. And so if you are simply leaving that as, okay, I know who my competitors are, and you just never touch it again, then you could find yourself in a really big problem, which we have a lot of clients that come to us in situations where they never really had to worry about their Amazon listings because they were always number one on whatever category it was that they were selling. And they come to us to work with them because they say, Emma, we were dominating for so long, and now there are these other competitors and they really understand the Amazon game and they are stealing our rank and they are stealing our customers and we don't know what to do. So then we come in and we help them figure it out and we help them reclaim that top ranked position. But if you get lazy with this, if you simply say, okay, well, this is not my top priority, I'm all about moving forward and launching more products, and you're neglecting this other sphere, that's where you could really be exposing yourself to risk. So with all of these pieces that we're talking about today, schedule in some time, or have your whoever is responsible for this on your team schedule in some time to be reviewing these different things on a regular cadence so that you are not allowing any blind spots to develop, and that you're really not just staying on top of things, but staying ahead of things so that you do not give any room or opportunity for sneaky competitors to come in and steal your rightful spot, your top spot. You don't want that. I don't want that for you. Now it's time. No, you're thinking, wow, we've been doing all of this work and we haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes of making the Amazon listing. Yes, you're right. If you don't have a very robust research process, then all of these other pieces that we're going to be talking about are not going to be as effective as they can be. It is through the thorough research that then all of your creative choices can really have that strong impact. So let's get into the copy. You need persuasive, benefit forward, concise copy. What do I mean by benefit forward? You need to really emphasize the ways that your product is going to positively influence your customer's life. So if we are looking at Radha, I would say that their copy is not the best. For example, experience the natural wonders of Radha Beauty's organic rosehip seed oil, meticulously crafted through cold-pressed methods to preserve its pureness and potency. I can understand by reading that first bullet that there are some important details about this product. They're talking about the pureness and the potency and that it's cold pressed, which is all great. However, if I'm a customer and I'm reading that, I don't know what that means or why I should care. Why is it important to have cold pressed oil? Why is it important that this is pure and potent? Are other oils not pure and potent? How can that affect my experience in using this product? What kind of problems is this solving? In general, I would say that this probably is not the best choice, especially for a first bullet. But even if it were to be a second, third, or fourth, it is really missing that key central benefit to help communicate to me as a customer why I should care about things, because it's really only going to be a small portion of the population that is going to have that depth of knowledge about the product to understand why cold pressed is important or why potency is important or what that means in this particular case. And so you don't want to make assumptions. You want to explain this to me in a way that I am really going to feel motivated to want to purchase from you and excited by. So they do slightly better with the next few. Unlock the secret to radiant, youthful skin. That's the first little phrase of the second bullet. Transform your hair with the hydrating power. So this is an example of where they're speaking closer to the benefits, but they're still not all the way there. They are missing that important piece of helping me understand how it's going to transform. Is it going to transform the way that it looks? Is it going to transform the health, the thickness, the volume? Is it going to help stimulate new hair growth? Is it that it's going to look very silky or that I'm going to have to wash it less? Transform sounds impressive, but it doesn't actually have depth of meaning to me as the customer. And so when you are trying to identify what those benefits are and why something should matter to a customer, you want to ask, why should they care? And you want to keep asking that until you understand something that has more of an emotional influence and is going to have that. If we're thinking of before and after, what is that after image that we are seeking? What is that transformation that the customer is hoping to achieve by using this product? And those are the kinds of elements that we want to integrate. Now we're talking specifically about the benefits within the bullets, but benefits and having this concise, powerful, persuasive language, those are details that, and that is the mindset that we want to be taking as we are writing every single piece of the listing. So when we are writing the title, when we are writing the text for the images and the A+ content and the brand story and the product description, every single one of those pieces, we want to be using very benefit forward, customer centric, persuasive language, and also making it as short and sweet as possible. We do not want to be too wordy, because if it's too wordy, then it decreases the ability to make it skimmable, and customers are not going to be looking at your listing from top to bottom with a fine-toothed comb. Well, I'm sure there are enough people in the world that perhaps some are, but most aren't. They're bouncing around. They're wanting to see, oh yeah, this is cold pressed. Great. Let me scroll down and look at the reviews. So people are looking at a listing in a non-linear fashion. And so making it skimmable and having those really important call outs, easy to see, easy to find, and even scroll stopping becomes so important. If you'd like to go in depth about how to specifically write every single piece of your Amazon listing, I have a playlist that goes in depth in how to create each one of those elements. It would be far too long of a video if I actually walked you. Well, maybe, do you want that? Would you like, let's just take a moment, a pause. Would you like me to create a video of me actually walking you through listing creation? So we would do each one of these steps together. We would do the keyword research, the competitor research. We would write all the pieces, not necessarily in real time because that would be a super long video. But if that is something that you would like to see, let me know in the comments below. And also, if you haven't already, I guess I'll just take a moment to say, please subscribe, because it helps me be able to continue to reach more people with this free knowledge that I'm sharing with you, knowledge that I have earned and gained after many, many years of experience. You must have insanely compelling imagery. If you don't have great images, you are just not going to get the same amount of conversions that you could otherwise. So many people are primarily scrolling through images as the way that they are making their choices. There are a few things that go into a great image. So one is just high quality image composition. So we're not talking about those lazy, embarrassing, poorly photoshopped images. We're talking about beautifully composed photographs. So that's one. The second is we need really great design. So any of the elements that are going to be edited into the image, we want to make sure that that looks really professional and great and compelling and is representative of your brand identity. We also, the third piece is we need to make sure that there is persuasive, emotionally driven text that is integrated into all of your imagery. So when you are putting together your product images, thinking about what are those important call outs that you would like to emphasize, because for the people that are just looking at the pictures, you want to make it so that they can look at the pictures, understand all of the key details about your product, understand all of the most important benefits, and feel like they have the information that they need to make a purchase without looking at any other piece of your listing. So you need to have really great photos because those are going to help communicate trust and help people feel like you are a legitimate company, that you are high quality, that you are, it just has a lot of built-in perceptions that people are going to have about your product for better or worse based on the quality of your images. And then you're wanting to make sure that they are put together in a way that tells a story that is compelling customers to want to buy your product. It's so, so important. And this is not just for your product images. This is also for the images that you use in your brand story, as well as for your A+ content or your premium A+ content, which, speaking of, let's get into A+ and premium A+ content. I'm really surprised to see that none of the three, oh no, one of them does. So out of these three top products, only one of them is using premium A+ content. That is the Sky Organics. Now, their premium A+ is really busy looking. It could definitely use a little bit of love. I'm also not clear as to why they're using all of these scrollers. It feels a little bit unnecessary and excessive. It looks like they have one more module that they could be using in the A+ if they wanted to, and they're not. So that's interesting. They do also have their brand story, which is great to see. And another fantastic way of being able to cross-promote many of their top products. So you see they sell different cosmetic products, body care, facial care, hair care, so care for the whole body. So that's fantastic. But their premium A+ content is a little bit busy and is not very benefit forward when we go back to that integral piece. It's also not super clear to me who their target customer is and who they're really talking to. And I think perhaps they may also lack that clarity with their creative, which is why it all feels like it looks okay, but is somewhat generic and doesn't have that depth that is necessary to really be fully compelling. Pour d'Or, their A+ content is just leaves much to be desired. Now they do have a brand story. It's not a great one, but this A+ content, I don't understand what the purpose of only having 2 modules of just the bottles are. It's huge missed opportunity. And then we have Radha, which they also are not using premium A+. It looks okay. At least they have some pictures of different people and calling out a few may help with premature aging skin. What a strange text to put on a picture of a woman rubbing oil onto her pregnant belly. I assume they mean that for stretch marks, but instead they're talking. That's just very silly. And bonus, a storefront. Amazon is really amping up the ante when it comes to what you can do with storefronts. The design just keeps getting better and better until, honestly, sometimes now when I go to storefronts, I can hardly even tell them apart from just a regular website. Let's look and see what the storefronts look like. So storefronts are important because sometimes people want to see what other items do you have in your catalog? Or, okay, I'm looking for a complete skincare regimen. Do you have something that I might like? I would say none of these are great, but probably Sky Organics has the best, even just with the way that it's categorized. And it does have that very clean aesthetic and look that they're obviously carrying through their marketing and their imagery. It's very natural, kind of coastal California, cool girl aesthetic. But storefronts really can have a massive impact on how your brand performs. And they're also just another way to be able to communicate to customers that you are a legitimate brand, that you have a catalog of items that they might be interested in. Or perhaps I see, oh, this isn't exactly what I'm looking for, but this appeals to me, so let me see what else they carry. So do not sleep on that. It's obviously, it's not directly tied towards your Amazon listing, but it is that gateway to all of your other Amazon listings. And it is something that is accessible through your Amazon listing. So it's a piece that you don't want to neglect. So the last piece in all of this, which I've been talking about throughout as we go through each of these different steps, is having a very clear brand identity. Who is your business? What makes it unique? So we spoke about it from the customer side. We spoke about it a little bit as we were going through the imagery and the premium A+ content and brand story of these different brands that we've been using as examples today. But that brand identity is one of the other tools at your disposal to really differentiate yourself from the other options out there and to be able to stand out and drive repeat purchases. So you must create a solid brand identity, which requires a lot of thought, a lot of creativity, and a lot of solid strategy. But it is so worth it because it really influences all of the choices that you're making. It will help give clarity about what customers you're selling to and the kinds of imagery to use and how you're positioning yourself and the way that you call out benefits and all of these different steps that we talk about today. If you infuse that into them, then you not only set yourself up for $1 million Amazon listing, but you set yourself up to be a brand that is unbeatable. Now, at this stage, we've talked about all of the steps that you need to take. And I think what you need next is some specific tips to integrate into all the pieces of your Amazon listing to take it to the next level. So I'm sharing my top Amazon listing secrets from reviewing over 8,000 listings. Right now, you can click here. So click it and I will see you over there. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.